It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Bobby. As the founder of iTrace Technologies in 1986, and introducing corneal topography along with Steve Kleiss, spent a lot of years studying the cornea and the optics of the eye. Tracey is an offshoot of iTrace and is a combination of topography as well as ray tracing aberrometry. We now today live in the quality of vision century. Refraction is essentially dead. Ray tracing and quality of vision diagnostics is really the necessity for premium cataract surgery. The principle is, and uniqueness of ray tracing is forward aberrometry, not reverse. We follow the natural process. Light rays go through the cornea, through the pupil, through the lens, to the retina. We measure 256 spots in about 200 milliseconds, and we can see where each spot in sequence falls on the retina. By doing so, there's no data confusion. We can measure eyes immediately post-op with keratoconus, severe pathology, corneal transplants, and the like. Another unique feature is binocular open field capability. I stand in front of you, watching you with both eyes wide open. With the Tracey, you have a window. Both eyes can look across the room or across the parking lot, and you can measure the eyes in a natural visual state. You overcome instrument myopia in young refractive patients. You also detect latent hyperope, such as myself, a +1 latent hyperope. It's quite obvious. So to really get the best refractive information in a truly natural visual process. Premium lenses demand premium vision. With iTrace and cataract surgery, you can isolate lens aberrations as early cataract. As Dr. McCabe nicely demonstrated, you can certainly see that the early cataract is a lens aberration. And as we know, we hear cataracts before we actually see them. You can measure the eye's optical alignment, you can analyze corneal aberrations, you can solve post-op problems, you can improve Toric IOL positioning, and you can do it intra-operatively with the information from the Tracey, which I'll show in a few minutes. Here's a simple slide demonstrating the opacity of simple cortical cataracts along with the aberrometry, and you can see the high order at the bottom of the screen. Essentially, aberrations occur in advance of opacity. Here comes your diabetic patient, 52-year-old, complaining of a right eye blurred vision after 6 months of wearing glasses, considering getting worse, says, I need new glasses. In the right eye, you can see the refraction map, where blue is hyperopia, green is emmetropia, yellow is myopia. There are a lot of the colors. There's a blurry E. The refraction is +2.6, -1 in both eyes. The left eye is all pretty much green with a sharp E. So this shows you the patient's visual complaint is blurriness, and you can see it immediately within just the first few seconds of your exam. You can then ask the system to separate the cornea and lens by combining topography and aberrometry of the eye. You can subtract the corneal aberrations from the total eye and get the internal optics. In the lower left, you'll see the clear E of the cornea. In the upper left, you'll see a blurry E. And in the upper right, you'll see the E of the total eye. Where's the blurriness coming from? It's coming from the lens, the internal optics. The topography simply has against rule cylinder. The other advantage of Tracey, and what is very important in vision, and according to even the Department of Transportation, night myopia and night vision issues, it's more difficult to see at night than day. So how many times do we refract our patients under night conditions in our clinics? With the Tracey being in infrared, you turn off the lights, measure scotopic measurement. You can see the day to night changes of the vision loss, in this case with early cataract. The other advantage of Tracey is because we do forward measurements, we can align the measurements over the visual axis or centered on the pupil. Well, center pupil refractions versus visual axis center refractions are actually quite different. And in many cases, look at your autorefractors and see how they work, because measuring forward over the visual axis is how your patient sees. And in this case, you can see there's a degree of coma introduced with an entire entrance pupil measurement versus that center versus the visual axis. When it comes to optical alignment, we all know the eye has angle kappa, angle alpha, and immediately you can determine the center of the limbus, in this case the blue cross, compared to the red cross. The red cross is the visual axis, your corneal light reflex, and you can see that the angle alpha in this case is 0.7 millimeters, which indicates a very large angle alpha, so placing a multifocal or toric IOL would be problematic in this patient, inducing double vision. Another very unique advantage with the chain analysis is the ability to determine the bars. You can see that in this case the corneal bars and the lens bars compensate each other, and if you put a multifocal IOL, you'll end up with trouble because you have dry eye issues on the cornea. As far as intraoperative and post-op problems, lens tilt, decentered IOLs, show a couple more slides. We have the ability with the OSHA ring and the Zaldivar caliper to look at high-resolution color cameras against landmarks in the eye. We can also, with the Hoya toric planner, be able to plan toric surgery, change the toric incisions and see how the lens changes and be able to determine its placement. Here's an ideal correction where the lens corrects the cornea and you get no astigmatism. With one touch of a button, you can actually ask the system to tell you where to rotate the lens. If in a post-op you have a surprise refraction, a surprise cylinder, in this case there's an 8-degree change. And you can also look at the axis determination and changes. Finally, with the Tracey, you can actually take the pre-op plan, take your live video microscope, look at the image of the, capture a frame from the microscope of the surgery, and within 10 seconds, offline, you can actually determine that in this case, the lens is to be rotated 5 degrees. This is a new software, position verification system software, that we should be introducing in the next few months. Thank you.